The Philadelphia Eagles are hiding a massive secret right under our noses. And if you aren't terrified of what they're building, you isn't paying attention. This isn't just a standard offseason. We are witnessing a cold, calculated masterclass in roster manipulation that is going to shake the NFC to its core. While every other team is scrambling to fix last year's mistakes, Philly is playing chess in the year 2026 while the rest of the league is stuck playing checkers. They are telegraphing a plan so aggressive and so strategic that it might just be the greatest heist in draft history. Are they about to abandon their defensive identity to save the offense? Or is there a betrayal brewing for the veteran stars we love? The clock is ticking, and the signals coming out of the NovaCare complex are screaming.
It's caught at the 30 by Devontae Smith. It really dictates the defense.
Smash that subscribe button if you want the fastest NFL updates on the planet. The trenches in Philadelphia have always been a place of worship, but right now, the altar is cracking. For decades, the Eagles have bullied the league with the best defensive line in football. But let's get real. The cracks are becoming craters. Last year was a total disaster when it came to health. We saw legends looking human, injuries piling up, and a lack of consistency that nearly derailed the entire season. But here is the kicker. The front office isn't just worried about a rolled ankle or a missed block. They're staring down the barrel of the R word, retirement. We're talking about cornerstones of this franchise potentially walking away, leaving a void that could swallow this offense whole. If the Eagles don't strike early and strike hard in the draft for a premier lineman, the entire Jalen Hurts era could be in jeopardy. They hate being reactive. They crave being the ones who set the tone. If you think they're going to sit back and wait for the line to collapse before they draft a replacement, you don't know this team at all. But wait until you hear how they plan to fix the other side of the ball, because the defensive plan is even more insane. Who is actually to blame for the late-season collapses we've seen? Is it the players, or is the front office failing to give them help? Drop a name in the comments right now. On paper, the edge rusher room looks like a dream, but if you look closer, it might actually be a nightmare in disguise. Sure, you've got Nolan Smith and Jale Hunt holding down the fort, and Arnold Ebiketie is a certified athletic freak who shows flashes of absolute dominance. His pass rush metrics are through the roof, and he's got that twitchy explosiveness that keeps offensive coordinators awake at night. But here is the brutal reality. After those guys, the depth is thinner than paper. In a league where you need 4 or 5 killers to rotate on the edge, the Eagles are walking a tightrope. One injury to a starter, and this pass rush goes from a flamethrower to a flickering candle. The word on the street is that Philly isn't satisfied. They are hunting for a true game changer, a take over the fourth quarter kind of monster. Whether they trade up or snag a falling star, they're clearly looking to add a radioactive element to this defensive line. They want to hurt quarterbacks, and they know they don't have enough weapons to do it for 4 quarters yet. But just wait until you see the massive gamble they are preparing to take on the offense. This is where things get truly spicy. For years, Dallas Goedert has been the security blanket, the reliable target, the guy who does it all. But let's be honest, the long-term outlook for Goedert is shrouded in mystery. We've seen the contract shuffles, the cap gymnastics, and the constant rumors. The Eagles haven't used a high-value draft pick on a tight end since they took Goedert himself, and that lack of foresight is finally catching up to them. The modern NFL isn't about tight ends who just block. It's about positionless weapons. We're talking about elite athletes who can line up in the slot, out wide, or in the dirt and create a mismatch nightmare. Imagine the Eagles grabbing a guy like Eli Stowers, an absolute physical specimen with elite vertical speed and the hands of a wide receiver. Adding a dynamic, young playmaker like that wouldn't just be a depth move. It would be a declaration of war against opposing defenses. It would mean the Eagles are evolving. But there's a massive philosophical shift happening behind the scenes that no one is talking about yet. For the last decade, this team has dumped mountains of cash and draft capital into the defense. But the wind is shifting. With massive defensive contracts looming on the horizon, the Eagles are reportedly preparing to flip the script entirely. They want to load up on cheap, high-upside offensive talent now, so they can afford to keep their defensive stars later. It's a sustainability play that sounds great in a boardroom, but it's a high-stakes gamble on the field. If you neglect the defense too much, you're in a shootout every Sunday. If you don't fix the offense, you're stagnant. They're trying to thread a needle that usually snaps in half for most franchises. They aren't just trying to win a Super Bowl in 2026. They're trying to ensure they are still the kings of the East in 2030. Every move they make right now is a brick in a wall that most fans can't even see yet. But what happens if the picks they make don't pan out? That's where the real fear kicks in. Let's get into the comment challenge for the day. If you're Howie Roseman and you're on the clock, who are you taking? Do you protect the future with an O-lineman, hunt heads with an edge rusher, or grab the next superstar tight end? Tell me your pick and why in the comments. The identity of this franchise is at a crossroads. If they go O-line in the first round, it tells the world they are terrified of Jalen Hurts getting hit. It says they believe the trenches are the only thing that matters. And honestly, there's a huge segment of the fan base that would celebrate that. We saw what happened when the protection broke down last year. The run game vanished. The deep shots turned into sacks. The offense felt small. If the front office thinks those struggles weren't just a fluke, then a first-round tackle isn't just a choice. It's a survival tactic. But at the same time, you have the edge fanatics who say you can't win without a pass rush. They see guys with length, explosiveness, and raw power sitting there in the draft, and they want the Eagles to pull the trigger. Philly loves flexibility, and having multiple picks gives them the power to move around the board like a predator. They don't have to settle. They can wait for the value to come to them, or they can hunt it down. Now, let's talk about the Stowers factor. If the Eagles actually move on a guy like Eli Stowers, it signals a total transformation. Stowers isn't your traditional wide tight end. He's a move piece. He's a guy who creates explosive plays out of nowhere. His production over the last 2 seasons proves he's ready for the big stage, and his physical ceiling is somewhere in the stratosphere. Adding that kind of vertical threat to an offense that already has elite receivers would be unfair. It's the kind of move that keeps defensive coordinators up at night, wondering who they're supposed to double team. It's about timing. The Eagles have been playing catch-up at the tight end position for too long, and they know it. They're tired of being one injury away from a stagnant passing game. They want insurance, and they want it to be explosive. But there's an underside to all of this that we have to address. Uncertainty is the silent killer in the NFL. While the front office is projected as this calm, collective unit, they're preparing for chaos. What if a major veteran wants out? What if an unexpected injury happens during camp? They're looking at every position, even wide receiver, with a fresh set of eyes. They're building contingencies for scenarios that fans don't even want to imagine. They are ready to pivot at a moment's notice. This draft isn't just about the names on the jerseys. It's about the message it sends to the rest of the league. It's a statement of intent. It's about showing that the Philadelphia Eagles don't rebuild, they reload. Think about the pressure. When that pick is announced, the reaction is going to be polarized. If they take a boring lineman, half the fans will groan. If they take a project edge rusher, the other half will scream. But this organization has a history of making moves that look weird in April and look like genius in December. They have the patience that most fans lack. They are willing to eat the criticism today if it means holding a trophy tomorrow. They are transitioning from an era of win now with vets to win forever with youth. It's a transition that kills most teams. They get stuck in the middle, never bad enough for a top pick, but never good enough to win it all. The Eagles are trying to bypass the entire phase. They want to stay at the top of the mountain while they renovate the picks. If they land that cornerstone offensive lineman, the next 5 years of Eagles football look secure. If they find that rotational edge rusher who turns into a double-digit sack artist, the defense keeps its Broad Street bully reputation. And if they find that next-gen tight end, this offense becomes a video game. That is how you extend a championship window. You don't wait for the engine to fail. You replace the parts while the car is still moving at 100 miles per hour. But if they miss, if these high-upside guys turn into busts, then the future problems they were trying to solve become current disasters. The margin for error is razor thin, and the stakes have never been higher. Every single decision made in that draft room is connected. The contracts, the age of the roster, the scheme shifts. It's all one giant web. They're trying to identify starters for 2027 before they even need them in 2026. It's a balancing act that requires a level of ballsy confidence that only this front office possesses. They are recalibrating the entire soul of the team. They know they can't pay everyone, so they are drafting the replacements before the stars even leave. It's cold. It's business. It's the Philadelphia Eagles way. And as we get closer to the draft, the tension is reaching a breaking point. The first move they make is going to be the tell. It's going to reveal their hand and show us exactly what they think of this roster. Are they protecting? Are they attacking? Or are they evolving? The answer to that question will define the next decade of football in Philly. This isn't just a draft. It's a revolution. All the speculation is about to end, and the reality is about to begin. When the Eagles are on the clock, the world will be watching. And you better believe they have a surprise or two up their sleeves that no one, and I mean no one, saw coming. The plan is in motion, the pieces are moving, and the league isn't ready for what's about to hit them.